Hello and welcome to My Voice podcast. I'm Alex Wilkinson, a sport and exercise psychology student from Loughborough University. I'm currently on an internship with Sport and Communities, who are a community development organisation that supports all members of the community, from young to old, across a broad spectrum of needs. This podcast is part of the My Voice project, a national community lottery funded programme that helps to give young people a voice in their community and a platform for creating change and social action. Thank you for taking the time to join me, and welcome to My Voice podcast.
Hello and welcome to My Voice podcast. I'm joined today by two guests from Sporting Communities. Our first guest today is Ed. Would you like to say a word about yourself, Ed?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Ed, as Alex just said. I'm the Derbyshire Development Officer for Sporting Communities. I also help deliver some of the sessions around Derby, some of the sports sessions. A bit about myself: I enjoy playing sport, all sports really, but mainly football and badminton. I enjoy going to the gym, just staying fit and healthy, walking my dog, listening to music, watching films, and chilling out really when I can. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
It's great to have you on, Ed. I know you've been doing your own podcast, so it's good to join forces on the podcast front.
Yeah, bit of competition. Nice.
Exactly. Our second guest today is John Robson. He's a young person from Biddle, so welcome, John.
Hello, welcome. Last time I was here, it was stay safe and stay at home.
Yeah, it's moved on quite a bit since the last time you were on one of these podcasts. I think it was
quite a bit.
Fair few weeks ago now, and as we all know, it's changing so fast. So, well, we'll start the podcast. Today's podcast is based around health, and health and well-being. So, my first question for you both really is first of all, what does health mean to you, John?
Health means your overall fitness and how your body is maintained throughout your life.
Yeah, no,
and also your mental health as well. So how you mentally think about things and how you're mentally prepared for stuff to be faced.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit the head with that one. What about you, Ed?
Yeah, no, I think John said it spot on there. Just add to that, like just your daily, how you're functioning daily. If you're able to function clearly and well, you're focusing okay, sleeping well, just all your general well-being.
I think you touch on it there, John, especially with the mental health. Like when you say health, people just think of a physical health, but if you looked at the definition of health, it says it's the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. So it's not just that you don't have a disease; it's actually the physical and mental aspects that are coming together. And there's also different components of health. It talks about spiritual, emotional, and financial health, which all contribute to an overall healthy lifestyle. And as we know, if you've got good financial health, you actually might have less worry, and you might have more means and access to fresh and healthier food. Same as emotional health. You'll have a better sense of calm and happiness, which fuels mental health. So altogether, these components and aspects of health all come together, and they combine holistically. But if you had to pick one component of health, which do you think is the most important, and what would it be and why, Ed?
So for me, obviously, being from a sport and exercise background, I would say the physical side, just because I think that when you actually look back to what we are designed to do and be, we're designed to move. That is our function, just our general physical well-being. So obviously within the physical side, we've obviously got your nutrition, exercise, your sleep, and it's you'd probably say the least important, but still important, is avoiding them harmful habits like smoking, drinking, and so on. So I would definitely say physical, just because I think all the rest of them are almost added in. Obviously, the emotional and mental side is equally as important. But if I had to pick one, I would pick the physical element, just because I think they all stem from that. I think if you're able to be physically well, then the rest are almost second to that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because, like you say, if you have good physical health, then they can almost help and breed better aspects for the other components. What about yourself, John? What do you think's important?
As I like myself to be physically fit, I think it's mentally fit for myself, because if I'm not mentally prepared or up to doing something, physically I could do it, but am I mentally wanting to do it? But if I'm mentally prepared, I can go and do it. Like, I love football. I'm always mentally prepared to go play football as and when I want. But then if I'm physically not able to, even if I've got the mentality to do it, I still can drive and push myself to the limits and go to do the exercise.
I think
no, what were you going to say, Ed?
I was going to say, like, I think they come in hand. They obviously both complement each other quite well. Obviously, diet plays a massive part. Sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, then your mental health isn't going to be great. So I think they obviously work together in that. Obviously, people saying like financial, like obviously everyone wants to be a millionaire, but it doesn't necessarily then put you in a positive mental state or even physical state. Obviously, how many million billionaires do you see that are overweight, obese, die of various different health related diseases and stuff because they're not staying fit, so I think in terms of fundamental importance, what John just mentioned about being mentally fit, and myself saying physically fit, have to be the most up there in terms of number 1 and 2.
It's like a chicken or an egg scenario, because sometimes I think, it'd be really good to go out and be physically active and go for a run, but it's about having that mental health where you're motivated enough to actually go out and do it. It's always the start in that which can be the hardest, and sometimes it's all up in your head which is stopping you. You might be physically able to, everybody's physically able to go walk a mile, so it's sometimes just a mental aspect to go out and do it. And like you touched on there about financial health, I mean, as we know, happiness doesn't come from money. And once you get so wealthy, sometimes it can actually create more problems with like trust issues and different mental health aspects of not knowing really who is your friends or who's there for the money. So it can get really tricky.
If you're wealthy, as you said, a lot of the billionaires and millionaires are not the fittest physically, but that's also due to like the jobs putting them down. Like, if you got a job which has a lot of hours being put in and you can't be physically active doing your job, that's gonna detriment you mentally, because you could be stuck in an office, a warehouse, or anything all day every day, and you can't just go out for a run because you might just get home and you're exhausted because you've been sat in the same spot all day every day.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's just how people what they prioritize, isn't it? Time is money, but time is health and wealth. So it's like, what do you put first? Do you make that extra couple of hours to making a bit more money, or do you put it towards your health?
And people struggle to find that balance sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen a lot of people, they look after their physical health and they'll often go out for a run or take part in sport and go to the gym. But improving the element of mental health, I'm wondering if you guys have any techniques or of anything that people do to try and improve their mental health, such as meditation and things like that. Because I think
that's what I do. Moving
forward into the sort of this modern day and age where there is so much mental stress and so much strain put on our lives that sometimes you do actually have to take out and have a bit of quiet time.
The thing I do to clear when everything's getting like too much, just want to clear my head and have a relax, I put earphones in, listen to either podcasts, music, white noise, anything to drown out sound, and just concentrate, like reading a book, doing something of what I enjoy while got no sound and nobody to annoy me, interrupt my time alone, and just focus on what I need to be thinking about. And it's just that helps me mentally, and then I get mentally prepared then, and that's just because I can drown out everything else and focus on what needs to be focused on.
That's a good idea, and obviously it works for yourself, because you're finding this day and age that we're going 100 miles per hour and we very rarely stop to just take a second and concentrate on ourselves, or almost listen to that voice in our head, or just chill out. Because if we're not watching TV or we're not talking to family, we'll be going on our phones, and people very rarely just sit still and relax.
Just read a book, have a sit down, read half a book, quarter of a book, or a full book in a day, or over a week, and just learn something new, because it can mentally help you, because you're learning something new, and that motivates you and boosts self-esteem.
Obviously, we're talking all around health at the moment, and quite a hard question I want to ask you is, how do you know if you're healthy or not? What do you think makes up that idea of health? How do you know if you're healthy or not, Ed?
Say like look out for any warning signs and any changes in like your daily activity or to do with your body and mind. So if something drastically changes, or even slightly, you've got to look out for them trigger signs. Obviously, then it's reacting to that. So blood tests, going to your doctor, talking to a professional. So there's no point guessing, or there's a big thing about whether you Google it if something's up, or you don't, you just go to speak to someone who actually knows specifically about what is troubling you. So sometimes I do Google, and I do find that any information online will help, and it's just about having a clear head when you're doing that, and not looking for the worst case. But then also getting a second opinion from your doctor obviously is really important. And noticing changes really to do with your body and how you're functioning. If you're suddenly having crashes in the afternoon, or you're getting really tired, or you're just not feeling yourself, you're not functioning well. Yeah, noticing them changes really.
It's really important that we do actually listen to our body, isn't it? And like you're saying there, you notice those changes, and if you do find that you're getting tired at times where you shouldn't be tired, or you're struggling to sleep, they're all clear indicators of a certain aspect in your lifestyle which is affecting you. And there's no really way to hide away from that. You've got to accept those changes and see what help you can seek, as you say, from a professional. And Google and things like that, they're good for bits of information.
But don't always trust Google.
You definitely can't always trust it. You've got to take it as bits of information, because you could go on there and by the time you come off Google, you've got something far worse, or some brand new disease or something, haven't you? So it's.
I think it's really hard, isn't it? Because there's so much now going on, and things that you might think are up with you, and I think it's really hard to know if you're healthy. It's just, I think so many people get caught up in their daily kind of lives and just keep plodding on. But I think it is important to kind of not, again, prioritize them things and put them to the front of your head. And, the sooner you deal with them, the sooner they're sorted out and you can carry on. It's really difficult though. I think there's so many elements to health now.
Main thing I'd say is keep a track of your body weight over the years, because you can not notice it yourself, but if you notice it in your weight drop, you can see weight drops when you're too stressed, or you got too much pressure on you. You can lose weight or put weight on, and it can be drastically or small. But keeping check of your weight, so I'm 62 kg, I keep track of that every week to see. You can look back and be like, all right, this is where I had a rough week because I put a bit on more weight, or lost a bit of weight. And it's always good to keep a track of your weight and your mental, even if it's in a diary.
Different measures like that can obviously, like you say, reflect. But then sometimes you can become too absorbent in monitoring and checking it. It is
obsessed, can't you?
Yeah, you can get obsessive with it, and that's why probably where a bit of mental health comes in. and it's all
Yeah.
that balance. But I remember in work we had the opportunity to use a machine which produced results for our health, and it told us our blood pressure, our BMI, our fat percentage, and it basically printed off this health report, and it gave all these aspects of health, and it made up a bigger picture of our physical health. And we all came out of it and we looked at it and we were like, oh, that's interesting, and we're almost sharing and comparing. And it was like, just like your car goes for an MOT, it gets put through its tests and diagnostics, and to see if it's working and running correctly, see if the oil's being used in the appropriate places, is there any noises. And we had the exact same, but for our body. And I think that was such a good idea and so important, because I've never had any of those tests. I'm 21 years old. I mean, I don't remember ever having my blood pressure taken, or maybe as a child. But once you get older, you almost don't take that self-care to monitor those things. So I thought it was a really interesting day that we got offered. But what do you guys think as humans? Do you think we should be going for our sort of human MOT and getting these results back?
Yeah, I think we should, because then it makes a bigger picture, obviously, and you can see if you've had a bad year, or I say bad year, but it could be monthly, every other month. It just gives you an overall understanding of where you're at with your body, it could be your mental health as well. It just gives you an overall picture of everything.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, it's really important to get that sort of feedback. I think it is ignored as well, especially people who have like stationary jobs, desk jobs, where they can almost forget about the health and what we're meant to be doing, which is moving more. I think companies like that should invest in health MOTs for their employees 100%, because I think it's part of their duty to look after their employees.
It is part of their duty, and I think for some people you don't realise you've got a problem until somebody shows you that you've got a problem.
Yeah.
If you get a result back and you've got really dangerously high cholesterol, you're going to make a lifestyle change to correct that in your diet, and that could be literally the difference between life and death, or a heart attack, or something else. And that's the
prevention is better than cure.
Yeah, definitely. It'll save so much money in the future, and it allows us to recognise any poor results and change our lifestyles accordingly to improve our health.
Well, if you think you've got 1,000 healthy, good employees, think about how much more efficient they're going to be working for you as well. So it's an investment towards the company.
It is massively, and a better physical health, better mental health, and better performance at work, better financial health. And you've got to give back to those employers, haven't you?
It sounds stupid, but you just don't, like, for stationary jobs. Yeah, you got the health MOTs, as you call them, but they need to be having the like one-to-ones with the like managers, supervisors, or whatever, over mental health. See if they've had any problems, and have a chat to see, because you could be working and have all that pressure on you, all the mental health problems, what you're thinking of, what you got, and feel like you've got no one to speak to. And sometimes, majority of the time, it's not always easy to open up on your own. You wait for somebody to approach and see if you're okay and if you need help with anything. So approaching just the physical, it's like they need to approach the mental health, which they open up to the employees and speak to them on a one-to-one basis. Yeah, even as hard as it sounds, it increase everybody's mental health, which could increase physical health as well.
I couldn't agree more. And with the both of you two, if you had the opportunity to find out more about your body and you get results back from a professional and they tell you how to improve your health, would you want that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, yeah. But I also think that's part of the reason is because I'm interested in that, in my body, interested in the physical and mental side. I agree with that. I find it quite important to invest and know about myself. Whereas some people, I think, if they are quite conscious of their body or physical or mental health, they would be a bit more resistant to finding out, because they may be a bit embarrassed or not as confident in wanting to know about that.
Yeah, and for some people, knowing would be the worst thing. Some people just wouldn't want to know about it at all. And you see it where people, even if they were told that they had a disease or something, sometimes they don't want to know. They just want to live through and get on with it.
If someone's overweight and you go, do you want to weigh yourself? The majority of them say, no, I don't, because they know, and they don't want to be told that so
they're overweight, and they can, as soon as you see the numbers come up and a big size produced, then that's then like scientific definition that you're overweight. And once that, I think you've got to recognize that and then sort of move forward, haven't you?
But then it leads back to mental health as well, then, because they're obviously not prepared for that, and they don't want to face it at that time. It could be ongoing medical issues, mental health, or just physical health issues as well.
And I think it's subconscious though. I think it's a subconscious block. I think people that maybe feeling underweight and overweight, it's a conscious block. They don't want to actively get on the scales, because then that is a quantitative result in front of them, and for that it's very hard to accept.
I think that's why. I was just going to say, I think that's why it's quite a skill and important that the people who are doing the testing and stuff, that they approach it quite in a
every angle.
Yeah, sensitive, and what's the word? Empathetic towards the people that they may, that they may be feeling this way, and not do it in front of the rest of the office and go, right, you're up on the scales next. Like it's a private thing. It's for them to know by themselves, and a one-to-one. I know when we did it, it was private. It was one-to-one. And your results aren't shared with anyone. It's confidential, and that's quite an important kind of factor.
Yeah, massive factor. You don't want to walk into the office and the door in the office is a big scales, and it announces your weight every morning once you walk in. It's a sensitive topic, and people have got to work around that, and also work with the professionals that can help them and offer them advice. But we're talking about physical health a lot here. Also, towards a mental health assessment, we were talking about a physical MOT, but a mental health assessment, would you be happy to complete a mental health assessment to see if there was any early signs or stages of a problem? And because then you can get techniques that could also help combat that and sort of help work through it. Because we see that people are a lot more on board with taking changes in lifestyle to better their physical health. I think now more than ever, as we were saying, is it a chicken or egg situation? What comes first? You need better mental health to get better physical health. And for a lot of people that, especially for mental health issues such as like bulimia or anorexia, which are obviously associated with poor physical health, it starts often with the mental health aspect. So do you think there should be a mental health MOT as well being offered to people? Because I don't know of anywhere, unless you've got a definite problem, unless you've got a definite mental health issue where you have to go and seek a professional. But sometimes that's not too late, because it's never too late and you can always work through these problems. But maybe there should be more help beforehand. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I'd like to see more help that you put in place for people, Yeah,
I would. I think, when we go on about like these examinations and testing, I think it's, it is really important. And I think the hardest bit is taking that first step for someone. It's a massive first step, knowing and accepting help, or not accepting help, but just finding out. I think like for us, maybe we're all from maybe sporting backgrounds, and we know that these are important, so we're willing to open up and find out. I think if it's really important to put yourself in other people's shoes though. So for something that I wouldn't be so comfortable with, or something that I'm not very good with. So maybe like, at school, if there was a certain subject that I hated doing the exam, or, when the teacher asked you to come up in front of the whole class and do something on the board that you just, you just totally blagging. And how much you really didn't want to do it, and you felt embarrassed, and you were like, oh no, I don't want to do this. It's sort of that feeling for someone who maybe isn't from a sport background, or who is embarrassed. They might feel like they do have a problem and don't want to accept it or ask for help. So I think it's important putting yourself in other people's shoes where it's something that you feel really uncomfortable with as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are sometimes left on their own to deal with those uncomfortable situations, or those uncomfortable settings where they don't feel happy always doing that. So if you had problems with your physical or mental health, sometimes you're just left to your own devices and you get on with it. But a lot of people don't know how to just get on with it or how to improve those aspects. And obviously there's literature and reading, and the government try and provide resources. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation, because I feel like there's many ways that we can improve these areas.
I think people underestimate the importance of them as well. I think, now everything's so much based on like finance and that sort of side. I think mental health is slowly picking up and up the more awareness that there is getting. But I think especially with physical, knowing at school that PE was sort of that subject that wasn't seen as important as English, maths. I think it is definitely really underestimated.
See, at the high school I went, we had core PE anyway. Even sixth formers had core PE. Our school has, because it's my old high school, because it was a kind of academy. It's taught as PE as itself. But I think that's just from the head teacher's behalf, because he loves sports as well. And he thought it was important, so he made sure everyone had a core PE lesson once a week, and it was a 2-week rotation as well.
Yeah, that's good.
And pursuing those early stages of physical health, it gets you in routine. It gets you used to living a healthy lifestyle and leading that lifestyle, because we know
and maintained.
Yeah, it does. Physical and mental health are strongly connected, and mental health's made up of lots of other smaller parts. But we pursue a healthy lifestyle to decrease the chance of disease, and all this leads down to just living longer. Us as humans, it's inside us that we want to live longer, and it's a survival instinct. So people always want to try and better their chances at that. Not to say that you will always live longer throughout the research and whatever you can do, because you don't know how long you ever will live. But that's the end goal, isn't it? To improve our health and live longer.
I think it's important, like going back to any kids or young people that might be feeling like listening to this. I think it's, again, saying about prioritizing subjects or physical activity. I think when you're at school, if you're not very good at English and maths or anything like that, as you get older, if it's just something that you can't, if you're just not very good at it, no matter how hard you try, you're just feeling that it's not your thing. With the internet nowadays, there's always something or someone that can help you with certain things like that. So spelling, certain calculations, whereas your physical and mental health, no one can go on a run for you. That's something only you can do to better yourself. No one can improve your mental health for you. It's something that you've got to deal with yourself for your own benefit. So I think in that, like when you refer it to like that, your physical and mental health should come top all the time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that point. I think that's a really, really good point, because you have to, like you say, you have to learn it yourself, and people can be there to help and guide you, but it all comes down to
you got to learn techniques as well, which suit you better as a person. Because if us three went to a gym and we all went on a machine, we'd all do different techniques to warm up and cool down, etc. So it's about finding a technique which you're comfortable doing, and it makes you feel better and you're ready.
Yeah, and everybody is different, so everyone's going to do it in a different way, and everybody's going to deal with it from a physical and mental health aspect. But as long as you're happy and you're healthy and you're looking after yourself, then it doesn't matter, because that's the most important thing. So we'll end on that note. It's been a really good podcast and a great conversation with you both. So I'd just like to thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
Okay.
It's been really good to have you on, and I'll see you all soon after this lockdown, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Nice one.
Okay,
Cheers,
thank
guys.
you. Cheers. Thank you. Bye bye.